The CS market is finally starting to have a bit of a rebound, so today I want to talk about the misfit skins that nobody really talks about, but they're some of the best items in the game that make immense amounts of money. So let's start with talking about agents. You've probably heard about these a little bit, but you probably haven't looked at the price charts. And let me actually go back and look at the much more expensive ones. For example, Sir Bloody Miami Darrow, one of the best performing items in the game. At lows reached around $10, currently sitting at around 150, buy orders at 145. So about a 15x on this thing. Now, of course, agents are super expensive at the moment, and you don't really want to be buying at these $150 levels. But the thing is, Valve hasn't reintroduced new agent skins in a very long time. We haven't in operation. There's no really chance for them to introduce them until we get an operation, which I do think we will get soon. So let me cover what you should do if and hopefully when that happens. Last time when Operation Riptide released, and this is a Broken Fang agent by the way, so it was Operation after Broken Fang, but when Riptide released, these things crashed in price. That's almost a 50% drop on September 21st, once again when Riptide released. And right after that, that literally marked the bottom. That one day, or maybe 2 days, I guess it was 2 days, but that marked the bottom. The lowest price this thing ever reached across the whole time it existed. And you could see from there on out, it's just an uptrend. There's like not even a dip you could buy throughout there. And then this just kept going. You could see, once again, kept going, blew up in price when we got a hype spike, consolidated like we see in the market for a long time, and since it's gotten to be so expensive at this point, it's 6x in price. We aren't seeing as much demand for a while, but then it blew up again, consolidated, blew up again, and now it's going through this like wonky period of somewhat consolidation before it might blow up again. But here's why I think you should hold off with something like this until we get new agents in the game. To cash out instantly for PayPal, crypto, and bank transfers, check out Skin.Place. Skin.Place gives you fair prices for every single skin you have, and is an insanely easy process. Here's how it works. Just click the skins you want to sell, enter your crypto address or whatever you need to do, and then you just get sent a trade offer, accept it, and receive your money in about 20 minutes. It's the best way to sell CS2 skins no matter what size your inventory is. Get a 3% bonus on selling your skins with that link at the top of the description. We once again saw a 50% drop in this thing and 10 times the amount being sold when the Operation Riptide got released. So I think we could very easily see that happen again. Just a massive 50% drop. Maybe a bit less, but back to these $80 levels or so. Maybe worst case scenario $60, even though that would be absolutely crazy. But I think there will be massive amounts of panic in these old agents when we get new ones released. Because, I mean, let's face it, a lot of the reason why these things ran up so much in price is because we simply haven't had new agent skins. Can't trade up to them. They're super coveted. There's no way to get them anymore. So when new agents come out, people are going to focus on those and hoard them as well. But I don't think you should focus on new agents that come out. I think you should focus on the old ones that crash in price and are still always going to be super limited. So when agents get released, I think you should buy that dip up almost instantly. A day or two after the drop happens, I think that's going to be the worst of it, and I think very easily they could go through something like this, short crash, and then climb up back in price again. Some more misfit skins that nobody talks about are a lot of the old Operation skins. For example, the Deagle Emerald Roman Gander, one of the best investment skins in the game. $50 to over $500, around $600 actually nowadays. And it's another skin that really bounced recently. It blew up in price massively, dipped massively, and then bounced again. Now, could we very easily see something like this where it really comes back to natural demand levels? Yes. But Operation skins are some of the best holds in this game, and me personally, I've been holding this thing since it was like $200. Probably not even, probably around $150, because I've been holding this thing for at least 2 years. So very, very good item to buy. If you don't want to buy at those super high price levels, there is other ones as well. The M4 Blue Phosphor, like I've covered in a bunch of videos, I said buy this thing if it gets to $600 or below, because that's the main period where it's consolidated for a very long time. Of course, it had this blow up, but it's consolidated hereafter. Had a bounce right around $600. I think it reached $575 about 2 weeks ago, and it is once again blown up ever since. Will it consolidate at higher levels? I don't know, but I think this is a skin you could very easily buy and hold for a very long time. I think it's going to have a lot of demand when we see price spikes, and it's definitely worth it. It consolidates at very high levels. Like Worst case scenario, this thing could drop like 100, 150 bucks, and you'd still be fine because this type of skin you hold for a very long time. Another sort of old operation skin that has a very similar trend to this is the Glock Emerald. Now, I'm a bit more wary of the Glock Emerald because it has like 22,000 of them in existence. That is a lot. But once again, like the M4 Blue Phosphor, it's pretty much the same exact chart. Consolidate for a very long time, and I don't even, it obviously blew up here, but it already reached these pre-hype levels again, so I'd say it's a completely fine skin to buy. The only thing you're hoping for with something like this is it jumps up $200 in price the next time we see a hype spike in the market, which could very easily happen. But since there is so much supply, that's obviously a much quicker move compared to something like the Phase 2 Dopplers that are much more limited. They have much more strung out moves, as we could see here. If this wants to load, and we could go to the all-time chart, like much more massive move. And I don't even, this actually isn't that much more strung out. I mean, I guess it is than the Glock Emerald, but even if you go to stuff like high tiers or gloves, they're a lot more strung out. Like, they happen over much longer periods of time because there simply is not as many of these high tier items in existence, and they tend to blow up, consolidate higher, blow up, consolidate higher, and it's not bad. But with the misfit items, the Glock Emeralds, stuff like that, it could be very quick move since its supply is relatively high, but you shouldn't really care because they're the much safer skins to own. The AK Hydroponics is kind of a similar case to that, where I think it's just blown up way too much in price, and it's why I would focus on something like a Glock Emerald or a Blue Phosphor or even a Dragon Lore if you've got the budget for it, because it's not anywhere, like the Blue Phosphor and the Glock Emerald are not anywhere close to all-time highs. If you're buying a hydroponic here, you're still buying massively into the hype. If you could have somehow got it at 2,700, great. But until this thing reaches like 1,800, 1,900, $2,000 again, I have no interest in buying it. It's too risky. You should stick with the safe stuff if you want to make money long term in this market and capitalize off of the hype spikes. The Deagle Blaze is another kind of skin like this, where it just, for whatever reason, very high quantity of this skin in existence. It's only a purple. Like, there was a lot of these coming into the game back in the day. A lot of these were getting dropped. There's a lot of them out there. But for whatever reason, they do have massive hype spikes. The CS2 initial hype spike, this thing got up to like $1,500. It didn't go anywhere near that crazy this time, but it did still have a massive hype spike up to about $1,100. And I mean, if you could get it at like 550, 600 bucks, it's another great skin to hold for the long term. I actually bought it like right before the hype spike happened at 600 bucks. So I'm saying this, and I have no intention to sell it at like 750, 800. If it gets up to like 1,500 again, which I think is really unlikely, but I think it could easily get up to $1,000, then I'll probably consider selling and moving into something safer. But it's another skin I think you should hold for the very long term. Kind of going back to what I talked about earlier in the video with the agents, and I kind of think you should treat gloves the same way. We're eventually going to get new gloves in the game. They're super overdue. I'm very shocked that we haven't gotten any yet. But it's kind of the same thing with the agents, where it's like, I think they're way too expensive to buy right now, and the risk to reward is not really worth it. I think the glove cases are great, or gloves in the glove case are great fundamentally, but I think they're going to go through a massive drop and go back to those pre-hype levels, or at least somewhere close to them, when we get new gloves in the game and all the long-term holders are kind of panicked. They're like, oh, we got new gloves, and that finally gives them a reason to sell and stop holding. So if that happens, I would be buying these up. Once again, that's probably going to be another very quick dip. We don't really see very quick dips in the CS market much. Really, and I covered this in one of my other videos, but really the only quick dip we ever see in the market is when something causes people to absolutely panic. New gloves would cause that. New agents would cause that. The only thing I really compare it to is when Valve accidentally nerfed Phase 2 Dopplers towards the beginning of CS2, when they were really just messing around with everything. And Butterfly, for example, went from, what is it, 4,900 to 3,500 in a day, and coincidentally, that's near the pre-hype levels before they went through this massive hype spike. We could very easily see that again. It might seem crazy talking about it now, but it's not out of the picture. Stuff like that has happened before. You could have got this perfect entry at pre-hype levels, let this thing consolidate again, and even got a good entry there when it's consolidating, and it blows up again. The random misfit skins in CS have potential for that. You might have to hold them longer. They might be less hyped, but when the hype spike comes, it slowly goes across the entire market. It might start with the phase twos, it might start with the Dopplers, but then it leaks into the normal play skins, it leaks into the old operation skins, and it leaks into the case market. And that's what you want to be taking advantage of. Buy the stuff that consolidates for a long time and has already reached pre-hype levels, like the blue phosphors, and other miscellaneous skins like the Dragon Lore is not a buy either. Those high tier skins are always great for the long term, and you will do very, very well in this market. Now, there's a lot of skins like this. The Op Fade, for example, is another really interesting one that I kind of got banged on because I sold it a bit early, but I did move into cases which panned out. So it sat at around 600 bucks for a very long time in 2022. Blew up in price. It like tripled actually, so not bad at all. Then bled out for a very long time, and now it's just sitting at like 850 bucks again. So another skin that I'd be completely fine buying, but be prepared to hold something like this for an exceptional amount of time, like 2-3 years before you expect another blow up in price. But I'd say it's relatively low risk. It's just sat at this level since last year, like December of last year. Very quick move up to 1300 because it had so much supply. But something like this, it sat at the same level for so long that you have very little risk buying it, and you've got a lot of potential for gains. You just got to be very quick to sell, and that's why you use the sponsor Skin Place that I talked about earlier in this video. So check them out with that link at the top of the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.